It's time for another dividend investing video.
Right on! Let's do it! Rock that world! Rock that world!
As one enters the world of dividend investing, it won't take them long before they start hearing the term yield to cost thrown around at them. In fact, many investment writers think of yield to cost as a sacred cow. Yield to cost is a very popular way for investors to analyze dividend paying assets. In this video, we will discuss what yield to cost is and the benefits as well as the flaws associated with analyzed investments using this method. So what is yield to cost? Let's start there. Yield to cost looks at the annual dividend payout rate of a dividend paying security divided by the total purchase price of the investment. Once again, yield to cost looks at the annual dividend payout rate of a security divided by the total purchase price of an investment. Just for example purposes, we're going to be using Pfizer stock throughout this video. It doesn't mean I'm endorsing Pfizer, but that's just the company we're going to use in this example. Currently, Pfizer, the drug manufacturer, has a yield on cost of 3.53%. This is calculated by taking the total annual dividend payout of Pfizer of $1.44 a share divided by Pfizer's current price of $40.77 as shown on screen. So as you guys can see, here's the formula. Yield on cost is calculated as such: $1.44 divided by the share price of Pfizer, which is $40.77, equals 0.0353 or 3.53%. And of course, in this example, we're just looking at if you owned one share of stock. Now that $1.44 dividend, that's the annual payout. So realistically, what you would do is you would receive about 36 cents of a dividend payout every single quarter. By the end of the year, it would add up to $1.44. Pfizer pays dividends on a quarterly basis. By looking at Pfizer's dividend growth history, they have been increasing their quarterly dividend payout by 2 cents per share every year for the past 5 years. Not bad. What that really means when you look at the dividend payout history is that they're roughly on average increasing their annual dividend payout by 5 to 6% every single year. This means if we hold on to our one share of Pfizer stock, that next year our annual dividend payout of $1.44 will likely increase to $1.52 per share. Now you might be wondering, well, Mike, why are you talking about dividend growth? Aren't we supposed to be talking about yield to cost? Well, there's a reason I showed you that, and now you're about to see why. Because as your dividend payout grows, it affects your overall yield to cost. So now if Pfizer, our one share of Pfizer, starts paying an annual dividend of $1.52 per share, it's going to change up our yield to cost. So our yield to cost is no longer 3.53%. It now jumps up to 3.73%. And you guys can see the formula on screen of how to get there. Pretty cool, right? Feels really good when you haven't done a single thing differently, but you get paid more. The American dream. Now, if Pfizer keeps growing their dividend year after year after year by 5 or 6%, what you're going to see is your yield to cost ratio is going to keep going up. It's going to keep going higher and higher and higher as your yield increases. So eventually, your 3.53% yield that we started with could eventually, our yield to cost could move up to 5%, 7%, 10%. It just depends on how long they've held on to that particular investment and if that company has been able to keep growing its dividend payout year after year after year. By doing this calculation on each asset within your portfolio and by taking a weighted average approach, you could determine with pretty close accuracy your net weighted average yield to cost in your portfolio. I think this is really helpful if you're getting close to retirement after you're doing retirement planning, because by running these calculations, you could realistically see or calculate what you might receive in retirement income just through dividends every single year when you're ready to retire. It's not perfect, of course, nothing ever is, but at least it will give you a rough idea. Now, I know yield to cost is pretty cool, right? But before you guys get too excited about it, let's now transition over and let's talk about some of the flaws, some of the weaknesses of this whole yield to cost thing. First off, if we continually reinvest our dividends into the same stocks over and over and over again, which is pretty common, our yield to cost can often decrease. This can happen as the share price of your investment rises, but the dividend payout does not. For example, let's say we go out and buy some additional shares of drugs. Chipper, don't look at me like that. Come on, the company sells drugs. It's Pfizer. Okay, fine. For example, let's say we go out and buy one additional share of Pfizer stock. Happy now? You know, Chipper, I could be talking about buying drugs and Coke in the same video, but no, gotta keep it clean. Don't want to get demonetized. Sorry about that, guys. Corporate Chipper is really cracking down on me these days. But let's move on with it. Okay, with our example, so now we go out and we buy another share of Pfizer stock. Now remember, our first share of Pfizer stock was purchased for $40.77. But now if we go out and we buy another share of Pfizer, let's say it costs us $42.20. So our average cost basis on these two shares of Pfizer stock is now $41.48. If Pfizer decides not to raise their dividend or keeps their annual dividend payout at $1.44 per share, our yield on cost will actually decrease. Instead of our original 3.53% yield on cost, our new yield to cost becomes 3.47%. Hopefully though, Pfizer will be successful and keep being able to increase their annual dividend payout each year so that our yield to cost can keep going back up and moving in the right direction. Quality dividend stocks provide an opportunity to earn higher income on our original investment over time, but it doesn't happen overnight and nothing is guaranteed. However, if you have invested in a solid company that tends to keep growing year after year after year, it is very likely your dividend yield on your original investment keeps going up, which will mean your yield to cost keeps going up as well. Let's circle back now and talk about a few more flaws of analyzing investments using the yield to cost method. Now, if you're trying to determine how safe a company's dividend is, yield to cost isn't going to do it for you. Because overall, yield to cost, it doesn't take into account really any of the underlying fundamentals of that particular company or business. So it's not going to be able to tell you how safe that company's dividend payout is going to be or dividend's going to be when you go to retire. Also, just because you have a high yield to cost doesn't mean you're still holding on to a good investment. A lot of times people hold on to bad investments just because they like their yield to cost. But if that investment or that company keeps getting worse off, you might eventually lose your dividend payout altogether. Kind of like staying in a bad relationship too long. Just because the relationship offers, well, you know, yada, yada, yada.
So speaking of exes, my old boyfriend came over late last night, and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, I'm really tired today.
Doesn't mean you should continue to stay in the relationship. Come on, people! What we don't want to happen is to lose the principal of our investment just to hold on to a high yield. In fact, sometimes the high yield can be a warning sign that the stock has fundamental issues and its dividend might not be safe for long. I think a good example of this that has occurred recently is General Electric stock. Even though General Electric was losing market share and fundamentally just not doing well, a lot of people held on to their investment thinking that dividend payout would continue forever. But unfortunately, what we saw happen is that they basically cut their dividend altogether. General Electric has started moving back up, but I think it's got a long ways to go before they can reinstate a safe and secure dividend, unfortunately. So don't get burned by an investment just because you like that yield to cost. All right, the bottom line on yield to cost. Yield on cost is a fun investment analysis you can do to track how your dividend yields are growing over time and may provide you with a rough idea of how much income your portfolio can throw off to you in retirement. Where yield to cost falls short is that it cannot provide accurate information to address whether or not your investment is still relevant or if the investment is fundamentally impaired and that you're really holding on to a ticking time bomb and it doesn't factor. And of course, yield to cost, we didn't mention it earlier, but yield to cost does not factor in inflation. Now, through my observations and just from my personal experience, yield to cost is a really fun analysis to do on your portfolio, but what I tend to focus on more, what I'm more concerned about is one, is the company financially sound? Two, what's the current dividend yield? Regardless of yield to cost, what's the current dividend yield on that investment? And three, Can I expect this company that I want to invest in to keep growing their dividends year after year after year at a rate of 5 to 7% or more every single year into the future? Those are three things that I tend to be more concerned about than just yield to cost. So by all means, certainly take yield to cost into consideration when analyzing your investment portfolio, but I caution you to not over rely on it because it might lead you to making some bad decisions in the long run. It's cool, it's fun to look at, but don't over rely on it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really curious of what you guys think about all this, about is yield to cost helpful? Is it not helpful? Why are we not? I really would love to read your comments down below, so please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below the video. If you guys like the video, make sure to drop a like before you leave. We appreciate it. It really helps us out and it really helps get this information out to more people. Feel free to share this information with a friend, especially if you have a friend wanting to learn more about dividend investing or just investing in general. I am sure they'll find this information helpful. Last but not least, if you're brand new to Money in Life TV, welcome to the channel. Our goal and mission is to help you become fiscally fit, and we do that by teaching finances, investing, taxes, and more on a regular basis. So be sure to not miss any of our future uploads by hitting that red subscribe button down below, and that little bell icon will notify you every time we upload a new video. Usually I upload a new video about once per week. With that being said, guys, I really appreciate you being here and spending time with me here on YouTube. I know it takes time out of your day to watch these videos, to learn about all this investing stuff, but I do appreciate having you guys, and I love reading all of your comments. So I'll look forward to seeing you down there. I hope you all have a great week. Take care, everybody, and I'll use this information to live your life uncaged. Bye, guys. Peace.